Alright, so we're going to pick back up where we left off on the Briggs & Stratton NPR 4D. It's been a week since I filmed the last video, so not much has changed on it. I ordered a kit for this carburetor. This video here is going to be how to rebuild one of these small flow jet carburetors, at least how I've done it. And I'll talk about that when I get the carburetor kit, which hasn't showed up yet, but we're going to go ahead and pull it off, get it cleaned. So there's one with the tall air cleaner here. You got the tall air cleaner tube. There's a bolt here you have to take out, and this will, I think they use these on the Model N. All of the Model N series, unless it's an NS, use this carburetor. And I think the Model I used them, and then the Model 5 and the Model 6, not the 5 and 6S, the 5 and 6 used this carburetor. So this one here has been leaking fuel because all the gaskets and seals are bad. So air cleaner tube will come off. And then we can remove the fuel line. Remove the fuel line. And now we can take out the flathead screws that hold it, which that wasn't very tight at all. See if the gasket's holding it. Nope. Well, there's not even a gasket in there, is it? This has the aluminum intake. It actually doesn't look that bad down in there. So we're going to remove the linkage carefully, if I can. There we go. Don't lose that little link right there. And take the spring off. There we go. That's actually a really clean little carburetor down inside. And here the float moving. Okay, there was a gasket. Alright, so hopefully this is a slightly better camera angle. Move the motor back over here. So first thing I'm going to take out is our main adjustment needle here. It's pretty crusty. And that's a 1/2 inch. Take off the packing nut. And there's a jet in there that has to come out. I'm going ahead and take out the fuel inlet too. And that jet has to come out before you remove the bowl. I have got them apart without that before though. Remove our idle screw. I'm not going to remove the throttle shaft. It looks pretty clean. I don't see the need in removing the throttle shaft or the choke shaft. Well, the choke shaft I might, but throttle shaft I'm not going to. I got to find a screwdriver small enough to get in there and get that jet out. This one here might work. Yeah. I believe that's the easiest one of them I've ever had come loose. This carburetor might not fight me too bad. I hope not, because I've had these things fight me before, and it's not fun. Not ever fun to fight one of these carburetors. Just a minute and I'll turn that dead blasted radio down. I don't know if y'all can hear that on the camera or not. Alright, so there's our main jet. May or may not end up reusing that, so we keep on hung on to that. It doesn't look that bad. So now we can remove the 4 screws that hold the bowl together. Don't lose those either. The main one that you end up having fight you is the seat for the needle and seat. That replaceable seat will be seized. And the bowl just went ahead and separated. There we go. Oh, okay. That's why this carburetor's no good. Yes, it does need a float. I was afraid of that. The float's no longer attached, and that carburetor is 15 kinds of nasty. See if I can get the venturi out of it without breaking it. May have to get an ultrasonic cleaner before I can even get the iron venturi out of it, because I've got to replace the gasket that's under the venturi. See if I can get the pin for the float out. Yep, it came out. Now, alright, I might wait on that. I'll soak it first and then try to see if it'll come loose. Yeah, no wonder this carburetor didn't want to run. I don't blame it one bit. Okay, I got the venturi moving. There it goes. It went ahead and came loose. There's your venturi. Don't lose that. Yeah, this thing's pretty rough. That's in the bottom of the bowl. I've never seen the float solder melt before. It looks like it's actually melted. I wondered, had this engine been around a fire? And I think it has been. That would be a perfect float if it wasn't for that. I found some new old stock ones, so I will probably have to get on there and order one of those. And then I don't know about this seat. So I'm going to get the ultrasonic cleaner basket. The heat has been on the ultrasonic cleaner. And we're just going to put all of these larger pieces, the carburetor and all of that, get that main jet, the inlet, anything that I'm going to reuse or might possibly reuse, I'm going to put in there. So I'll point the camera in this direction. There's not much light, but there's my ultrasonic cleaner right there. that down in there, try to get it all submerged. And we'll start it. And you can see it fizzing and stuff in there. We'll let that run for a few cycles and then see how it turns out. Alright, so the carburetor kit finally showed up. And this is the cheapest kit they sell on eBay, but it's the best kit that they sell on eBay. The part number is 291691. And the reason it's the best kit on eBay is because it comes with cork gaskets. It even comes with a cork venturi gasket. It goes on the venturi here. And what that means is where this bowl, you might can see it there, is warped. They always are. I've never found one that wasn't. So what that means is that cork will squish down when you tighten the bolts. Same thing with the venturi gasket, and you'll have no leaks. So, downside to this kit is it's a cheap kit. In the main jet, you usually can't use them because I don't know if you can see it because the camera's not got that great a view on it there, but there's the two holes in the main jet and they're crooked. They're supposed to be perfectly in line like the original. So I'll be using the original jet. I run all this stuff through an ultrasonic cleaner, so I know it's good. Clean bowl. That white down in there that looks like corrosion, but it won't, whatever it is, it won't come out. And the other downside is you don't get a gasket for your needle seat. And they send this little ring that I'm assuming is supposed to be a spacer in case you bottom this out in here, which I've got to check and make sure that I can get that to fit. But my fix for not having a gasket is going to be put some Permatex Indian head on those threads, because I'm not waiting another week for a new old stock gasket. I'm going to test fit this real quick. And you got to have like 3 different screwdrivers to work on the carburetor. Test fit this real quick and make sure that we're not going to bottom out. And it does not bottom out. So what that means is we can get some Permatex Indian head, put it on the threads of our needle seat, and our needle seat will be good. So this is called the throttle body of the carburetor. That's because it's got the throttle in it. And we're going to start with it. Let me grab my Permatex real quick. Alright, so I'll try to get the camera adjusted. Maybe zoomed in a hair. I think the resolution goes down on this as you zoom in though. We got our Permatex Indian head here. Not going to get any on the actual hole for the main jet or the needle seat. I'm going to put some on the threads. It's like that. So the door just came opened. Hold on. Gotta fix the hinges on my door there. I'm gonna run this in. Any Permatex that squeezes out, I'll wipe it off. I'm just gonna snug it up. It's not gonna vibrate out of there. It's probably sitting a little bit lower in there than it would, but as you can see, well, maybe you can't. It's not bottomed out on the top, so we'll get plenty of fuel flow. All right, so now I'm going to attempt to set the float height. So we're going to put our little spring deal on the needle. Hook that to the float. And by the way, I did find a good used float out of a parts carburetor. I don't know why the pin won't go in it. I guess I don't have to have the spring deal on there to do this. Try to go in from the other side there. Best I remember, I had to adjust this float a lot the last time I'd done this. I might end up using the original needle wherever I'm done with it. Okay, the pin won't fit through the float. That would explain a lot. There, that'll help. There's a little bit of crud in that used float. Wouldn't allow the pin to slide through it. There we go. Alright, so see, the float is not level, so I'm going to have to bend it to where it is pretty well level. And our new needle is already stuck. There. I may end up using the original needle because this one here keeps sticking. If it'll fit in that jet. Or I might not end up using that one, but oh well. I would have to adjust the float a lot to make that one work. Gotta take the float off to do this. And you just kind of hook this. I wish this would stay on the needle. Let me get this put together. Okay, so I know it's stupid, but I ended up using the original needle. Even though I got a new one, I don't like that little spring thing. I see it getting caught on something. And this is a very cheap needle because the rubber piece just fell off the end while I was working on it. So I'm still doing a little bit of trial and error with these carburetors, trying to get them exactly perfect. The first one I did, I didn't use the cork cheap gasket or the cork gasket, and it leaked all over the place. So I ended up learning to use the cork gasket in the cheap kit, and I had good luck with no leaks when I'd done that. So alright, so now we can assemble now that the throttle body's done, we can do the lower half, and basically all that involves is installing your new venturi gasket and getting it lined up. So you want to make sure that your gasket is where that hole is, right there. Zoom me out. Basically where that hole is right there is a hole in the gasket, and you need to make sure that it's there. I've always wanted to make a stand to hold these while I put them together, but never have. And now you can assemble the bowl. And you can tell, because there's a little bit of a gap, that you can squish those gaskets down and it's going to seal correctly. Just making sure that there's nothing I forgot on the inside, and there shouldn't be. We'll see how using this original needle goes. Like I said, still doing trial and error with these carburetors. But I'm thinking it's going to work pretty good, because the last one I used a new one. I think. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've done that one. Now we can just put the 4 screws in. I've already started them. You can kind of tighten them down corner to corner. Don't go in a circle. Go one across from the other. I can already tell it's compressed that, starting to compress the venturi gasket. And I'm just going to slowly tighten them one at a time. And I'm not going to over tighten them either. I can hear the float moving in there, so that's always a good sign. If the float sticks, we'll have an issue. That's my only concern at this point. I think I'm still getting fuel flow, so Now we can assemble the bottom. Our original main jet. You want to look in here and you'll be able to see the jet in here. Make sure it goes in the little spot where it's supposed to. There's a little cross-drilled hole. And just run it all the way in. Don't tighten it real good. It'll go the threads and you won't never get it back out. And this is another thing about this kit. It always ends up not including the packing for that. But I'm going to go on ahead and install our idle screw. And then I'm going to go dig through the parts and see if I've got a packing for that. Mainly the only reason I buy this kit is for the cork gaskets. The rest of the stuff's kind of junk. And I remember that from the last one I done. Run this all the way in. I always go 1/2, 1 hole, 1/2, just for a start. Let me see if I've got a packing for that. Alright, so what I did is I took a piece of cork and cut it off in a strip and rolled it in there like a packing. And if I'm lucky, that'll work. I've done that before and it worked. Alright, so that one just bottomed out. I'll tighten this one. Now I'm feeling for how tight that packing gets. Should get relatively snug and shouldn't leak. So I'm going to go another little bit with that. So that's pretty snug. That shouldn't leak. So close it off, and I'm going to go the same. 1/2, 1 hole, 1/2. And I'm going to snug that up just a little bit more. And that feels good. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Other than the parts that are left over, and we'll ignore that. I'm going to get the intake put back on the engine first, because I did pull the intake and I'm running out of camera space, so I'm going to try to keep this short. Alright, so reinstalling it, it's just a reverse process of installing it. Put a little Permatex Indian head on this gasket that I had left from the putting the intake on. You kind of rub a little bit in there. The carburetor is pretty simple. I'm just trying to find the perfect mix of stuff to make one darn near perfect. I've never met a flow jet that the float didn't stick on it, for one thing. So we'll need our governor link. I can't remember what hole it was in, so I have to guess. Maybe it's supposed to go on the back side. But it really can't. Alright, so that's got it in a bind. Try putting the link on there the other way, I guess. I'll add another little bit of information in here. Always try to remember what hole the link was in. Alright, I'll be back as soon as I get this link on. Alright, so I guess that's going to about do it for the carburetor rebuild video. Here the little motor is sitting on the shelf. It's been a while since I made that video. So hope everybody enjoyed it. I think this is the best one of these little carburetors I've ever built. It actually does better than this one, which was the last one that I did. So I need to do the one on this engine here exactly the same as this one. It ran great, as you've seen in a couple of the clips. Like my glass air cleaner. Engine runs good. The oil stays clean. Really didn't have any trouble out of it. I put about 45 minutes to an hour on it. Ran about a quarter tank of fuel through it. With no issues whatsoever. So hope everybody enjoyed the video. And if you like videos like this, go on ahead and subscribe. Every subscription's appreciated. So I guess that'll about do it for this video. We'll see y'all in the next one, where we'll be working on something else like this.